This is Deceive Inc., a game released on March 21st, 2023, developed by Sweet Bandit Studios and published by Tripwire. It is a game about playing as secret agents trying to steal a package and escape, with the main thing being that you can disguise yourself as NPCs around the map so you don't know who's who. Now, if you were in the Dead by Daylight scene during this time, you may have seen that a lot of Dead by Daylight YouTubers like Oddsdarva, Scott Jund, Zubat, and a whole bunch of other people were playing this game for a little bit. But if you go and check the game now, you may see that there's not nearly as many players as it used to be. You may see that a lot of the lobbies may only have maybe 5 people in a solo game. So what happened to this game that most people actually had a lot of fun with? Well, today I'm going to go over how the game plays and all the mechanics in the game, and just kind of give an overall statement on how the game works and why it was so interesting. And then we'll talk about why I personally think the game probably fell off. But first, let's get into just what the game overall is about. So to start off, let's just kind of go over generally how the game is meant to be played. So, the way the game is supposed to be played is you're supposed to play as an agent, with many agents in the game, which we'll get into in a little bit, who is fighting against all the other agents in the match, which usually there's a max of like 10, so you're playing basically against 9 other agents, and you're all put into one map, and your main goal is to deactivate 3 vault terminals, and once the vault terminals are cracked, then the vault opens. So what you need to do then is you need to get to the vault and steal the package, and then once you steal the package, you have to try and escape, all while fighting for a race of time against all the other agents, as everybody is fighting for the same thing. With the main part of the game being that everybody is disguised as an NPC. There are NPCs that wander all over the map, and it's your main goal to try and to break these vault terminals and take the package, all while trying to figure out, if it's an NPC or if it's an actual player that's following you. Now, getting into the vault terminals is mainly the first phase of the game. There's 3 main phases in the game, with the first phase being the insertion phase, I believe, where that's where you're just trying to loot, get vault terminals, get key cards, get field upgrades. That's just kind of your main area where you just have to look around and loot. And then the second phase, where you get all the vault terminals done, that's when you actually have to go into the vaults and make your way over to the package. And keep in mind as well, if there's still a lot of players in the lobby, everybody is going to get the same notifications as you. Meaning the moment the vaults get opened, everybody is going to try and make their way into the vaults. So you do have to play it pretty strategically to get into the vault without being seen and without looking suspicious. And along with that, while there is 3 vault terminals you have to deactivate, there is multiple rooms that could possibly have vault terminals, but you don't know which rooms actually have the vault terminals, so it is a bit of trial and error just kind of going into different rooms to see which ones they have. And also, your cover does matter when you're going to these vault terminals, as you can only be dressed as certain characters when going into these rooms. For example, you do need to dress as a guard to get into the guard rooms, and you do need to dress up as a technician who is a higher rarity than the guards to be able to be into the technician rooms, and the technician rooms will most likely have the vault terminals in them. And if you find a vault terminal, great. If you don't find a vault terminal, it's not that bad. You can still loot and see what's in the room, but you're still fighting against the clock, so you still have to try and just loot everything you can and get out of there as soon as possible, because before you know it, somebody could be going into the same vault terminal as you, and you won't know about it until it's too late. Throughout the game, as you keep playing through the match, you'll eventually start collecting intel from stuff like computers and phones and stuff just around the map, and you can use that intel to be able to break open safes, which give you field upgrades, which the field upgrades will just give you passive upgrades like faster regeneration of your cover if you get exposed, or being able to hold more intel, or being able to crack stuff faster, stuff like that. And you will also find key cards, which the key cards will be used to unlock certain doors that you can only use with those key cards. Now, if you don't have those key cards, you can use your intel, but they usually cost a decent amount of intel. So it does make you think whether or not you want to actually check that room to see if there's a vault terminal in there, or if you'd rather just go look around and try to loot, see if you can find a key card to get in there. And if you manage to triumph over everybody else in the lobby, and you manage to get into the vault, then it's your chance to steal the briefcase. However, just because you stole the briefcase doesn't mean that the combat is over, because once you steal the briefcase, the extraction phase begins, which means you need to take the briefcase and take it to one of the 3 getaway vehicle spawns, and you need to call for the getaway vehicle, all while trying to not be seen by other players. Because when you're holding the briefcase, the more you move around, like running around and walking and stuff, the other players will start getting pinging notifications telling them where you are with the package. Now, this is mainly done just to balance it out, so that way people don't just manage to sneak away without the other players knowing. But also, when you have the package, you have rival agent detection mode, which is a thing that you can use to actually see where all the other players are, so that way you can kind of determine like which exits you think are safe, which exits are not safe, and if you might have to fight somebody on your way out. And after all of that, if you manage to triumph through every player in the lobby and manage to get to the getaway vehicle in time, then yeah, that's basically the game. That's literally it. You get away with the package and then you win the game. Now, you don't just have to win the game like this. If you manage to somehow kill everybody in the lobby, then the game will just straight up end. You don't gotta worry about taking the package. However, if everybody in the lobby takes too long to get to the vault terminals and get the package, then the game will start a timer and just basically do it for the players if nobody's doing it themselves. So there is different ways to play the game. If you want to just run in and get the package, you can do that. If you want to just go guns blazing and look for every player in the lobby to kill them, you can do that. Or if you just want to take it safe and just want to stay in the back and just kind of loot and take your time with everything, then you can do that. There's multiple different playstyles you can do in this game, as well as different playstyles with the agents, which is what I'm about to get into right now. Now, each agent in the game is pretty unique in multiple ways, being that each agent has 3 different unique weapons, 3 different unique passive abilities, and 3 unique active abilities. And when you first start the game, you'll only get one of each thing for every character. So for each agent, you'll get 1 active ability, 1 passive ability, and 1 weapon. And in order to get all the other abilities, you have to basically just grind out that character and just level them up. And every time you level up, you'll get something new for that character. For example, Squire, who I kind of consider to be kind of the mid-range character, he mainly uses pistols that have a pretty good fire rate and a pretty decent amount of damage, as well as having passive abilities like being able to get a speed boost when he gets shot, or get a shield up when he gets shot, just things to help you when you're in combat, as well as having an active ability of being able to detect intel or keycards or anything around him, or even being able to just straight up figure out if players are in the same room as him. Or there's characters like Larson, who he's kind of more like just stealing from people kind of thing, where you can basically steal items from people as Larson as one of his abilities, and then be able to just go invisible and disappear off their screen pretty much. Or characters like Chavez, who he uses more like revolvers, like heavy weapons that have a long rate of fire, but he also has abilities like just giving him a shield and slowly regenning his health if he ever gets too low. So pretty much every character in this game has unique things about them, and they all fit for like different types of playstyles. Like for example, Cavalry, she has 2 dual-wield pistols that don't do a lot of damage, but they just add up over time because of how fast you can shoot it. So depending on what kind of guns you're into, they might be up your alley. Or characters like Red, who she has things like an assault rifle or a shotgun that does only 40 damage flat and no bonus damage for headshots or anything. So you can really just change things about each agent to kind of fit your playstyle, so that way each agent can just be however you want them to be. So you can have one agent for doing things like going in and just killing everybody, or you can have an agent for kind of sneaking around more and just looting around the map more. It's really just up to your imagination at that point on what kind of agents you want. Now I kind of just want to get into talking about the NPCs in the game. because like I said before, there's hundreds of NPCs around the map that just kind of wander around, they run, they walk, they go through doors, they just kind of do whatever generic NPC things do, pretty much. But the one key thing about NPCs is that they don't jump and they don't fall from elevated surfaces. Meaning, if you see an NPC jumping or falling from somewhere, like falling from a height, most likely that's a player. But one thing you want to look at, mainly with the NPCs, is just, you kind of just want to look around as you're going around. So, when you're disguised as an NPC, and you're walking around, your NPC does not look wherever you look. Your NPC only moves by which directions you press on your keyboard. So if you hold W to go forward and you look left, your character's still only gonna go left, and it's only gonna look like they're going left. So you kind of do have to play a bit more like an NPC to kind of give off that factor, so that way people think you're less suspicious. Because if people just see you running around and going crazy, doing like searching drawers and stuff for intel, people are gonna immediately assume that you're a player. So you kind of have to do everything on the down low, and you kind of have to do it from, you kind of have to take your time while also trying to make sure that you're not wasting time, because again, everybody's on the clock for the same objective, so you kind of have to do everything in a quick and timely manner. But you still have to kind of give off that impression that you are an NPC, because you can make one tiny mistake and that'll basically blow your entire cover and force you to either fight or you just run away. Now you might be asking me, Nick, what were you talking about when you said that disguises were important earlier? Well, that's what I'm about to talk about. So in the main menu, there is an option in the menu so you can look at all the different types of NPCs. And they all have different rarities from gray to gold. And each one has different types of outfits that you can only wear when you're in those areas. So for the gray NPCs, those are kind of just the default civilians. They walk around on the streets and in public areas. They don't really go anywhere into private areas. They just kind of do their thing and walk around. Then you have the staff NPCs, which those ones only go into staff rooms, which are the green doors or where you need the green key cards. And when you go into those rooms, you can potentially find blue key cards for guard rooms or green field upgrades in green safes. Everything is labeled under different colors, so it's very easy to see these things, so that way you don't miss them. Then we have the blue guards, which all wear blue suits and just blue clothing in general. They mainly hang out in the guard rooms and inside the vault, outside areas of the vaults. They kind of just do their thing. However, if they do catch you, if the staff people and the guards catch you going into their rooms without the right outfit, they will scold you and tell you to get out, and if you don't get out quick enough, your disguise will be revealed and everybody will freak out around you, and that will blow your cover because all the agents are going to hear people screaming and freaking out, letting them know that there is an agent nearby. And then we have the technicians, which are mainly like the scientists or the guards that wear the all-black clothing. Those are the purple rarity NPCs. Those ones mainly hang out in the vault terminal areas, as well as close to when you get closer to the vault, you'll start seeing a lot more scientists and people around. Those are the people that you want to be towards the end of the game. And then we have the gold variety, which is the VIPs. And each map in the game has different VIPs. Now, me personally, I don't recommend going as NPCs because there's only one VIP per level, or per map. So, you know, if people see two VIPs, then it's going to be kind of obvious that there's one of them is a player. So the VIPs are kind of just, the VIPs can go anywhere they want, but you are basically doing high risk, high reward, where you can go into any room you want, but it might look even more suspicious that the VIP is going to rooms that people might not typically see them go into. Now, the next thing I kind of want to get into is talking about the maps in the game, mainly because there's not really a lot of them, so this kind of is something I can quickly go through, but each one is unique in ways that I'm going to talk about right now. For example, the first one I'm going to talk about is Hard Cell, which, by the way, they all are considered operations. They don't just call them maps, they're called the operations, so like Operation Hard Cell. It's kind of like this big mansion area that has like that has a dining area, it has an upstairs, it has a downstairs. There's an outside area that you can go to that has a garage for staff members. There's a whole bunch of different places you can go to, and depending on your playstyle, it might be fitting to only stick in one area of the mansion if you wanted to. Next, we have Silver Reef, or Operation Silver Reef, which is an underground aquarium kind of thing where you're like in the water and you look outside and you see water and like fish and shit everywhere. It is 2 floors. It can be kind of confusing on this map, to be honest. Like just all the hallways and stuff look kind of similar to each other, but there is also a lot of secret places you can get into to look for some nice loot. So do keep that in mind. Overall, not a terrible map. It can just get kind of confusing to get lost in. Now, Diamond Spire is kind of easy to get lost in if you're not paying attention, because it's like a 3-story office building. So all the buildings are going to be similar on each floor, and if you're not paying attention to where you're going, you might get stuck on the same floor, or you might accidentally run into an agent that's on the same floor with you. Overall, it's still a nice map. It's just very confusing, especially because there's also an outside area that has like 2 separate floors you can go onto. It's crazy. And then we have Fragrant Shore, which is my personal favorite, which is kind of like a city type of map where there's just city buildings everywhere that you can go into, and each building is designated for like staff members, guard members, civilians, etc. And they just have like this cool aesthetic where there's like a hotel, and then there's these different little restaurants outside with chairs and stuff outside. It really does feel like you're just in a city disguised as a secret agent. And then the newest one that was added to the game, as of me recording this video, is Operation Sound Eclipse, which that is literally you're in space, like on a ship in space. And while I love the concept of this map, I haven't learned the layout of it yet, and it kind of sucks because of that. So yeah, overall, that map I love the aesthetic of the map, and it's just very nice. And as well with the maps, each map has their own soundtrack, which you've been hearing throughout this video, actually. And what's nice about the soundtracks in these levels is as the game continues and the phases keep changing, the music slowly will start ramping up and kind of building up, kind of making it seem like this big thing is about to happen, and you want to be there to see it. So you're going to do your hardest to actually go through the map to do the objective. And that's honestly, like, literally, like, the coolest thing about these maps is just how the soundtrack plays into the maps, and just the overall layout of each map being unique and having their own little secrets and stuff in them. It's super nice to play on, and honestly, I wish there were more maps in the game, because the maps they have here are absolutely amazing. So in summary, we have an online multiplayer game with a concept that I haven't really seen in any other game, all while keeping with the aesthetic of being secret agents, having multiple maps in the game with their own unique soundtracks that change over time in the game, and each agent having their own skill set, their own weapons, and their own abilities, as well as being able to customize your passive abilities to be able to match any playstyle you want. The devs thought of everything with this game. So how the hell did this game fail?
Stop stalling and actually just tell us why, dumbass.
Well, in all honesty, I have no idea. I just really don't. This game is amazing, and the devs have thought of everything to make sure that everybody has a fair experience playing the game. Now, at the time of me recording this video, the devs did just release a Operation Overhaul, which was them literally taking the entire game and fixing it and adding new things to the game to make it even better. Like, for example, before the update, you would be able to just find golden keycards around the map similar to regular keycards that you can use to get into the vault, but now they have a 3D printer for the golden keycard that you can only access when you're in the vault, so you actually have a reason to go into the vault if you're planning on stealing the briefcase, as well as visually changing the way the game looks, adding new parts of maps that weren't in the game before to make the maps more accessible. They've thought of everything with this game. But I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, the fact that the reason why the game's just not doing as well as it did when it was in its prime is just for the fact that the gameplay can get kinda stale if you play this game for a long time. Now, because me personally, I've put a decent amount of time into this game because I love this game. It's one of the only it's one of the only first-person shooters I actually play nowadays because it's actually fun and engaging, and it's crazy enough to where I can still go into it and still have a good time regardless what happens. But over time, you start realizing that every map you play on and every agent you play, once you get your strategy down for everything in the game, like once you figure out your agent loadouts and once you figure out your where you're gonna go on each map, it kind of becomes boring over time because you do start learning everything about the maps. Now, I do think that this game should get more than just simply the one game mode, because while I do think what the game is right now is amazing, I can definitely see this game branching off into different things. Like, I had this idea a while back that this game could have a capture the flag type mode, where you play as an agent trying to capture a flag, and you have to hold that for a certain amount of time, all while every agent's trying to go after you. That's just kind of like an idea I had for a while ago. Or they could I could totally see them making something like a single player campaign, because every agent in the game has their own unique lore to them, and it's really long. It's almost like the lore in Dead by Daylight, pretty much, where they just go over pretty much as they can about that agent and how they were before they ended up in this program. It's amazing, and I could totally see them doing some kind of single player thing where you just play as that agent and kind of learn more about them as you play. There's so much to this game, and it's really upsetting to see that the game was in a slow decline over time after it came out. And especially nowadays, if you look on YouTube and look for the game, there's not a lot of people talking about it. So I'm really hoping this Operation Overhaul kind of changes the game around to give the game a second chance, because this game is fantastic. If you haven't seen this game or heard about this game, I totally recommend you check it out, because it's very fun and it's very engaging, and I personally love the game. I think the game is really fun. And the game is on sale at the moment on Steam. I don't know how much longer it's going to be on sale for, and not to mention that, it's also on consoles. And there's crossplay, so you could play with your friends from consoles on PC. It's so nice how much the devs thought about when putting, it's so nice how much the devs thought when they were making this game to make it not only as accessible as possible, but making it as easy to learn as possible. Because they teach you everything you need to know before you load into a match. And it's up to you to be able to just take what you learn and use it to the max of your abilities, as well as finding out, what works for you in the game. But overall, I think this game is amazing. I'm really upset that it's in a slow decline, but I'm hoping that what the devs are planning on doing for this year, because this game's almost a year old pretty much at this point. So I'm hoping that whatever the devs try to do to improve the game, it works, and I hope that whatever else they add into the game brings something unique that brings people back, because I think this game deserves a second chance. Or even if they just made the game free to play, I think that would, that definitely would cause some issues in of itself, because free to play games are known for having issues because they're free to play, like TF2. But I totally can see them turning this game around and making it into something a lot bigger than what it actually is at the moment. So if you haven't seen Deceive Inc., I totally recommend you check it out. And if you have the extra money, I totally recommend you pick it up and at least try it, because on Steam you can refund it. On consoles, I'm not so sure, but I totally recommend trying this game out if you haven't, and I totally recommend looking into the game if you haven't, even if you don't want to play it and you just want to learn more about it, because I'm not really the best at explaining. I totally recommend looking at the Deceive Inc. wiki and stuff like that, because this game has so much to it that I can't even talk about in this video, or this video is going to be like an hour long. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about this game because I really love this game, and I've been playing it a lot recently, and it's fun, and I love everything about this game. So if you would like to see me talk about more Deceive Inc. or even play Deceive Inc. on the channel, because I have been considering that, let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. And yeah, I just love doing videos like this where I can just talk about a game that I think is actually really good. But yeah, I hope this game gets a lot more attention, because it's a very, very fun game. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.